What's up? You're in my fucking spot. You're still in my fucking spot. What's wrong, Chinaman? You hard of hearing or something?
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Jean Pod Van Damme cast. It is Jeff and John in studio. And if you didn't know that by now, well, shame on you. Go back to the beginning and listen to all of this treasure. Today, we are going to be reviewing 2012's Dragon Eyes, this rated R 1 hour and 31 minute action crime drama. In St. Jude, drug dealers and corrupt cops have destroyed an urban neighborhood, but newcomer Hong has the fighting skills and moral vision to save this town from itself.
That's a pretty amazing synopsis.
Oh, man. Jeff, how you doing, buddy?
I am well. Thank you for asking.
Yeah, most definitely. I can't continue this without asking how you're doing. You know?
Wouldn't be the same. Like, what if something was horribly wrong?
You know, then we would sit down and we would actually like get into the Jean-Claude Dr. Phil part of this episode. Please tell me your feelings.
I'd like to do that sometime. One day.
One day. Yep. That crazy cameo. Could you imagine a Dr. Phil Jean-Claude Van Damme film?
I'd watch it.
I would too, definitely. And then we would review it.
Yep.
The Jean Pod Van Damme cast. The director of this is John Hyams, which you guys have heard that name before. And the writer is Tim Torrey. They actually do not. They don't have a tagline.
Huh.
They don't have a tagline.
Wow, that's weird.
Wow. What tagline could we give this? Let's make up one right now on the spot without any idea and making it sound terrible.
Okay. If you liked Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, then you'll love Dragon Eyes.
Time Magazine. That sounds more like, the review that they put on the DVD. They say, Hong, sweet Hong.
I like that.
Oh, man. There's no mystery, just Mr. V. You can go that way. All right. Well, anyway, getting into it. When you look at the IMDb page, we see tons and tons of pictures of Van Damme and Kung Lee. This movie makes you think Van Damme and Kung Lee are in it together a lot.
Yeah, like a buddy cop or crime fighter duo or something.
That is not the case whatsoever. The front poster makes you think that they're in it a lot.
They're right. Yeah, they're in equal measure, like.
Yep. When you
literally
look at top billed cast, Kung Lee is first as Hong, and Van Damme is second as Tiano. You think that means they're going to be in it together.
Yeah, you would think there would at least be a very prominent amount.
This is
like
not
maybe
the case.
I was expecting like maybe Jean-Claude Van Damme will be in like one half of the movie or something, like how Nick Cage does for a lot of his movies.
Right? Yeah. Nope. It was one up of a cameo. Really.
Yeah.
He was only in it for maybe 10 minutes total time, maybe a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. Interjected in like 2-minute snippets.
Yes, yep, but it was done throughout the film. So this was one that we sat and we talked with one another about. It's like, do we do this as a cameo or do we actually like sit down and review this whole film? And we decided to sit down and review the whole film, and we're trying to decide if that was a mistake or not. So anyway, the rest of the cast, we have Johnny Holmes playing Big Jake, Peter Weller playing Mr. V.
Yes, RoboCop himself.
Yep, I was just going to say, if you need to know who Peter Weller is, look no further than Detroit's own RoboCop.
Oh, yeah. Or you could watch Buckaroo Banzai too. That's another great film.
Yeah, that's another great one. You have Sam Medina, who plays Biggie. Sam was in Olympus Has Fallen, Alita Battle Angel, and Jack Reacher.
That Battle Angel one hasn't come out yet, right? And that's the one that isn't that a James Cameron flick or something?
I have no clue. Yeah, you're right. Yep. Wow, look at you, man. I have no clue what he's playing in it, though. He might be a Stinger. He's playing Stinger. And Jack Reacher, he was DC Policeman #2. So I wouldn't know if he was going to be playing big roles or not. And there's a bunch of other people that they were just like, you know what? We don't care what where they're at in this. Dash. Louis da Silva Jr. played Dash. And I'm just trying to think of the EastEnders and the Sixth Street Kings and the Devil Dogs. And either way, that's kind of why we are not doing cast anymore with all this. We begin with Kung Lee dreaming about being in prison. And some big white guy comes up to him and tells him that's his spot. Kung Lee slides over and he says that's still his spot. They start fighting. Van Damme comes out of nowhere, kicks the big white dude in the face. Tiano pops up on the screen to introduce Van Damme. He kicks the guy and knocks him out, and then we get into the credits of the film. Then we see Theo is introduced as well, looking like he's drug dealing. Looks like there's a tweaker that wants some while he's giving out some stuff for some money, and they kick him around and get him out. Meanwhile, Kung Lee pulls up in a sweet old Cadillac, walks to an apartment while being yelled at by Theo about Chinese food. While he's getting the apartment, these guys are flirting with the landlord's granddaughter, who you're like, okay, well, this is obvious which position she's going to be in here. Like, oh, hey. She's kind of like the sweet, sparkling innocence of what used to be St. Jude, and she's going to help try to turn it around. So Kung Lee comes back out to his car. Two guys come up to him where Theo slams the car door on him. And Kung is like, hey, never touch my car. Theo shows off his guns to him, in which Kung Lee responds with a front kick to his face, using him then to kick the other guys in the face and pushing them back into glass windows of expeditions.
There was a lot of window shattering in this film.
Yeah, man.
A lot of defenestration.
Yes, a lot of defenestration. I like that you used that. Nice.
I always look for the opportunity to pull it out.
Yep, it's one of those great words. Thank you, dictionary word of the day. He puts his thumb in a dude's eyes. Guy hits him with a bottle. It's just a crazy fight scene. He breaks the guy's wrist, dislodging his gun, and drops the magazine clip on the guy's forehead.
And then you get to hear a Wilhelm scream.
I was just gonna say, yeah. Or is that wasn't a Wilhelm? That was like its cousin, right?
Oh yeah, the other stock scream.
Yep, the other one. And he knocks the dude through the bus stop window and walks away.
Setting the theme for the film.
Yep. Starts right out. It's not trying to tell you that it's something that it's not.
No,
so I'll give it
it's
that.
about a man who hates windows.
Yep. That sounds like it's Oscar worthy. And Jeff Bridges in The Man Who Hates Windows.
Oh hell yeah.
Now we have some weird flashback of Kung chasing after a dude yelling at him, and some girl gets knocked down, and he wakes up from this dream.
That's getting to be a trope in Van Damme movies, too.
Yes, man.
Mainly because of this director.
And what ends up happening, we end up getting a new Van Damme trope that came out of nowhere, more sepia tones.
Yep.
What is up with this?
And more prison, like...
Yeah, prison.
Prison settings.
Prison again. Prison as well. Like, this movie was just like, you know what? I'm going to have blue tones. I'm going to have sepia. I'm going to have red. It doesn't... he just threw everything at it.
A lot of colors. Very colorful.
Very colorful. Next up, we see some guy at a bar doing a line, and it's some guy walks up to him. Oh, hey, that's Theo with the cast on his arm, talking about Kung Lee beating up everyone. The wife beater guy wants another dude to take care of it, proceeds to do another bump, and we see that this is Dash from the Sixth Street Kings. Next scene, it's all in red tone. A bunch of guys are playing poker. They talk about finding Kung, and we see that the head is Antoine from the East Siders. Kung is now sweeping the porch in front of his place when the granddaughter comes out to help him sweep up the rest of the junk into the dustpan. Meanwhile, the Kung looks at the dudes down at the bus stop and he waves at them and they wave back. Which that was pretty funny. That was nice. Next up, we see Van Damme sitting in jail with Kung Lee. saying along the lines of, "She's dead, I tried, but I couldn't stop it." And Van Damme telling him, "Nothing can change that. Put it behind you. Can you do that?" "How?" "Stand up." And then Van Damme kicks him in the gut. He says something along the lines about, like, something, getting hit like a dog, being a dog, and stand like a man, get kicked like a man. Kung Lee goes to hit him, gets pushed to the floor again. And I think Van Damme also said something along the lines of, "Two tigers are inside of you."
Yes.
What? Which one will win? Like, all right, so we're talking about animals, men, and tigers.
Yeah. He's pretty much the Mr. Miyagi of the film.
Yeah,
They've
yes.
established that at this point.
Yeah, definitely. Now Kung Lee is meditating, praying, and the next scene shows the East Siders looking in a warehouse when some dude takes out one of them. The other has no clue about it while he's talking, turns around to grab his gun. He gets taken out as well. Up next, Mr. V. Dude looks like an old-time gangster. Two gangs are yelling at each other, and they're accusing one another of stealing the bags. Mr. V nails the one dude in the back of the knee after talking about needing 3 and only getting 2. And you're thinking, what's going on? I know he's talking about money, but... And he makes the guy count it out. It's 2,000. He only got 2,000, so he hits the dude in the knee again. Poor bastard. And then he says something racist along the lines of, "I don't eat fried bananas, and I don't eat collard greens," to both, the 6th Street Kings and the East Siders.
You wouldn't expect a Detroit native to talk like that.
Yeah. And he says, "Don't be short on my cut again." There might have been some Italian thrown in there, because he talks about being Italian a lot.
He really did talk.
Yeah. Yeah, that was weird about his character. We have a saying in the old country.
Yeah, he really wanted you to know that he was Italian.
Yeah.
He was in a pinstripe suit with a fedora.
Yeah, smoking cigars. Yeah, it was totally done up.
Randomly interjecting in Italian for no reason.
Yeah.
With no trace of an Italian accent when he wasn't talking in Italian.
No, he even talks about basically them bastardizing his last name.
Yeah.
And
yeah, presumably he's like 3 generations off the boat.
Right, yeah, man, yeah. So the East Siders go into a house at a safe. The 6th Street guys do the same. They open up their safe to see there's no money inside. Only some Chinese or Japanese scroll. I apologize because I'm not an expert on Asian script. I had no clue.
Neither did they, though, to be fair.
No, that's true, too. So I felt all right.
Actually, the leader of the black gang, he did know what it meant. Didn't he say
Yeah,
it meant?
yeah, he did say it. Yeah, he did know. What was his name? Sean, I think?
Was it Sean?
I think
What were the name of the 2 gangs again?
The 6th Street Kings and the East Siders.
That's it. I keep thinking, Grove Street and...
Right, yeah, the Yancey Street gang. Where's the thing at? You Yancey Street boys? I laughed a lot because one of the dudes and one of the gang members had the Dare shirt on.
Yes, that...
I thought that was nice. The 6th Street guys come up to the house where the East Siders live, or whoever lives there, and everyone draws guns on each other, and they show that they both were burgled. So how do you expect to get your money? You can't get bread from a dead man. And then we see everyone show up in front of Kung Lee. It's like 12 guys against 1. The boss of the East Siders tells one of his dudes to step forward and fight. Some of the dudes at the bus stop actually come in and start fighting for Kung, which was kind of weird.
Yeah, I was confused about that, too. There's a lot of head-scratching moments in this movie.
Yeah, it really...
Like, why didn't they just pull out a gun and say, "Get in the car, we're going to interrogate you for the money"?
Right, exactly.
Instead of one by one stepping up to fight him.
No. It's kind of like Van Johnson, where the security guys are like, "No, we have to do this one by one."
That's true.
So then they start bringing weapons into it, like chains and a crowbar. Kung has a rake, and he rakes a guy in the face.
Yeah, that was
Ouch.
pretty gross.
Yeah.
And they yanked a dude's hair with a rake.
Oh, yeah, dude. One dude gets wasted with a back kick, and the police show up, and they arrest Kung Lee. We see Van Damme again. It's a flashback. He's teaching Kung Lee. Van Damme looks really old in this film.
Yeah.
Like, they did a good job of either saying, "Hey, don't put your hair dye in," or making it look like he was older than, Van Damme's like 57 now, I think.
Yeah, 57 or 58.
Right.
I think he was born in 1960, so yeah, he'd be 57.
Yeah, so this one, they made him look old, let's just say. Now we're in the present time. Kung Lee is in jail. 2 guys get put in with him. They look at each other and nod. Guy spits at Kung Lee. He just looks at him. It's Lord from the Devil Dogs. These guys are Russian. Do you have a fucking problem? Guy takes his jewelry off. Kung and him just start fighting.
That was a good fight scene.
Yeah,
too.
man. Yeah, but then the police officer comes in prematurely, breaks it up, and is like, "All right, Kung, you can go." And I'm like, "What the hell is going on here?" He's in an interrogation room. Mr. Hong, it's Mr. V, and this is where Victor Swan. They bastardized my name. Blah blah blah. He wants to know why Kung is there. He arrested him for his own protection. Pretty much, hey, you know, where's the money at that you took? Kung actually tells him. He just straight up tells him. And he's like, Mr. Beach has become a liability. Mr. V wants to know if he can trust Hong. There's only one game here. My game. Gives Kong the photo and he takes it and he's like, welcome to St. Jude. And now we assume that Hong is working for Mr. V. He's having flashbacks again to the girl that got stabbed and killed. At least it looks like it was stabbed and killed. And then later on it looks like she was shot and killed on accident. Either way, whatever. The granddaughter asks him what happened. Is that how you think you're going to solve St. Jude's problems? And it's just like, okay, yep, whatever. Moving along here. We see that Beach is a crack addict. And was that Captain Boomerang from the Suicide Squad with him?
It looked like it.
It looked exactly like him. Looked exactly like him. If not, I mean, that's all I kept calling him. So anyway, we see Beach is really paranoid. He pulls out a shotgun. They have a hilarious back and forth. Captain Boomerang goes to check, and the door's open. It's a fucking ninja! Yeah, this scene was hilarious. Kung beats up Captain Boomerang, who then shoots his own foot with the shotgun.
Yeah, ow.
Beach doesn't want to die. Bang! I killed you. Understand? Get out of town. Never come back. See, that was your first mistake, Hong. You know how crack addicts are.
I mean,
they will not listen to you.
Everyone's seen New Jack City.
Yep. We then see a new character, Sergeant Howe. You're late, douchebags. The leaders of the gangs are talking with Mr. V. They're arguing with Mr. V, saying how they had to split with Hong now, and the 6th Street dude doesn't want to do that. Mr. V tells them, you're going to work with Hong whether you like it or not, basically. Meanwhile, Hong and the community are cleaning up the area, covering up graffiti, cleaning up litter, cutting, trimming, and planting. It's wonderful. But the grandfather, landlord, doesn't trust anything that's too good to be true, and he doesn't trust Kung. And the granddaughter basically tells him, she's like, have you ever heard of this so-and-so disease? And he's like, no, what's that? And she's like, it's basically how some people miss the disease that they had because they don't know how to live without it. And that's her way of saying, you know, hey,
get with the times,
get with the times, old man. Yep, yep. Glad you're reading my mind on that one. The Russians are now meeting up with Mr. V. They're like, Double Dogs can take care of the ninja. Mr. V says, and there's no problems here. Basically, don't worry about it. But I think the Double Dogs are going to worry about it.
What I really like about the different gangs is that they all have different theme music when they're approaching.
I will give it that. I will give it that. And the music in this was not bad.
No, it wasn't bad at all. None of the music was.
The film, how everything fit, was actually really good.
It was done really well.
Sound.
It had a real, like, lock, stock, and two smoking barrels vibe. And, and you could really tell it was influenced by video games, particularly Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was... That I thought was pretty funny. Like it's like a poor man's lock, stock. You're right. Yeah. Totally. We have a flashback to Van Damme holding a fake gun and Kung Lee coming up behind him. If you get shot, it's because you didn't listen to me. Don't think about the gun. Think about the man. Guy comes in after Kung and the granddaughter are talking, starts shooting at the place, and him and Kung start fighting. And I guess this was his way of becoming the alpha. He beats the guy up.
Yep.
It's like the leader of the 6th Street. And he's now at their club. He's like, no guns. Only cowards use guns. So do smart guys.
Yeah. But, I mean, other rival gangs, I'm sure, will follow suit.
Yep. And now it looks like Kung is in control of the 6th Street gangs. They put their guns on top of the bar top. And now we see Sergeant Howe is upset. Mr. V and Chris Van Damme out of nowhere show up to talk with Mr. V. I had no idea Chris was in this. He's like, you guys are changing ways, and he's obviously worried about the Double Dogs. People of St. Jude say Mr. V cleaned it up. V tells everyone to do their own jobs and not to tell others how to do theirs. Sergeant Howe doesn't look too happy about this. So next up, we see a guy driving by the usual 6th Street guys, but he's not buying drugs from them. Instead, he goes right literally down the street to the Devil Dogs, who the territory, it's seriously right next to each other.
Yeah, it's
Kinda
about
crazy.
it's about 50 feet away.
Yep.
You'd think that would lead to animosity, but
Yeah, yep, really weird. Mr. V is in his house. He's going into his floorboards and pulls out his own safe, and he realizes there's no money in his own safe. So he flips out. He calls Kong, wants to know where the money's at. Something's happening. I don't know what it is. And he's calling the other phone, I guess, of one of the other leaders, and Kong has it, but he doesn't answer, and Mr. V just goes crazy. Meanwhile, Sergeant Howe's getting smacked by a girl with some really fake boobs. Mr. V comes in, points a gun at Howe, asks where the money is, nails him in the face, tells the girl he'll teach her how to do this. And he plays a weird version of Russian roulette where he just says along the lines, I kid you not, I'm going to shoot your wee-wee off. Where's Feldman? And he's shooting at his wiener.
yeah, it was intense.
He does it about 3 times, click, click, click. Shoots again, but it's between his legs, right below it. Kisses the girl, and then the girl punches Howe right in the face. That was hilarious. Next scene, Howe tells Kung he wants to see him. Feldman ripped him off. Trust no one but Hong. Chris Van Damme comes up from behind and hits Kung in the back of the head with a 2x4. Up next, a bunch of cops are in some abandoned warehouse. Hey, there's Dan Henderson. If you're an MMA fight fan, he's in this. Mr. V tells him he thought he was a man he could trust, but he didn't deliver. Beach comes out of the back of the car and gets shot in the head by Howe. Looks like Henderson and Kung are going to fight, while the big boss man holds him as Hendo punches the crap out of him. And I don't mean Mr. V holds him. I mean a dude that looks like Big Boss Man from WWF back in the day. Like the smaller version of him. Like if Boss Man and Farva had a kid, it was this dude. So while he's getting beaten up, he's having flashbacks to the dude running from him again and the girl. And it's like, oh, it's the dude that shot the girl.
Yep.
Oh, wait, no. Kung was the dude.
Yep.
He was running
Dun,
from
dun,
himself.
The whole time.
The whole time.
This is very, it's a trope that you see in a lot of films by this director, is slowly pieced together memory that finally comes together when there's about 30 minutes of the film left.
Yep.
And it doesn't really impact the film all that much in a way that...
Nope. He hopes that it would.
Yeah. I mean, you could just explain what happened instead of doing that in every movie you have. It's
right. Yeah, man. Yeah.
Like, it doesn't capture your attention when you throw it at the very beginning of the film. You kind of forget about it as you're watching the movie.
Right.
I don't know. Just...
No, this was had a lot going for it for only being, an hour and a half film.
Oh, yeah.
Like, they were like, I got to put this in and this and this in, and stuff could have been taken out. So Chris tells V that they got him. V asks if they put a bullet in his brain. No, he didn't. He's like, I'm coming down there. And they put him in a wooden box. V shoots the crap out of it. And it was the big boss man in the box the whole time. He shot him up, and it was like, how the fuck did
he is a magician.
That happen? Yep.
He is a wizard.
Yep. Totally. They're not going to show, he's not going to reveal to you on a reality television show how magic is done.
Yeah, that was, I mean, at this point, they're just kind of like, whatever.
Yep. Really.
You understand how this movie's going at this point.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
he got away, all right?
Yeah.
Just don't worry about it.
Yeah. You think we're going to do anything different with the budget that we had? Come on. I have to shoot in sepia the whole time.
Those filters aren't cheap.
Yep. Kung somehow managed to escape, passes out in an alley. A dude comes up by him and picks him up. It's the landlord. The Devil Dogs show up on the St. Jude turf, come out and start shooting the 6th Street guys.
Heavy metal playing in the background.
Yeah, man. And then it switches over, and it's basically like this montage of them beating the crap out of the 6th Street guys to take over and work for V. Hong is on a cot, resting up, having dreams of Van Damme. Sounds like a typical night for me.
Hell yeah.
Van Damme is trying to teach him about moving on. Van Damme killed his own son. And so now we have a Van Damme flashback.
A flashback of a flashback.
Yeah, of a flashback and a dream sequence. Van Damme gets a briefcase full of money. Guys show up to take it from him, start shooting people. I swear Bolo Young was one of those guys. Like,
was it?
I could be totally wrong, but
I'd have to look again.
Looking at one of the masks that the guys had on, like, it was really open.
Did he say, you are next?
I think so. He kind of pointed at him, jumped up and down a little.
Now I break you.
Now I break you. Like I break your friend. No, it looked just like him. Like, I'm looking at him and like, that, even though he just has such a unique look in his face.
Yeah, and a unique rack.
Yep.
Those are some amazing pecs.
Yeah, definitely. So I was like, is that Bolo Young? I hope that was him.
Was he holding up a barrel?
No. It was really
Oh,
Van Damme
it might have
shoots
been
him.
him.
It was quick. He shoots him and he's dead. Van Damme beats the crap out of the dude with a hammer and then shoots a guy in the back that tries to steal the briefcase. The guy's crawling, reveals himself to be Van Damme's son, and he watches his son die.
That was, and he just kind of watched.
Ooh.
And then right after he stares at him for 15, 30 seconds, then he gets down on his knees.
Yep.
I was like,
yep.
And they never explained why his son robbed him.
Yeah, I know, right?
He just kind of, like my son was like you or something like that. Or
yeah. It was weird. He was like, I will never forgive myself. You have the dragon's eyes. Titular line right there.
Yep.
Haven't had one of those in a little bit. I know Day of Reckoning we had a mini one, but yeah, this one totally straight on dragon eyes.
Oh yeah. I would have really been confused as to the title of the film, but
yep.
That's another trope in Van Damme films is titles that sometimes have nothing to do with the movie whatsoever.
The film at all. After
Inferno.
We had a working title and then we changed it. The spirit of the great masters, but you have strayed from the path. When you get out, there is something I need you to do for me. There's a town called St. Jude, a town that has fallen into darkness. You must go there. But he doesn't tell him why he must go there. He just tells him you need to go there. The place is now run by the Devil Dogs. The leader of the 6th Street guys just looks up at the leader, or looks down at the leader as the Devil Dog guy looks up at him. And the landlord talks about what I'm assuming is a Vietnam story. A guy jumps on a grenade with his helmet, got lucky, and it didn't blow up. And that made them all fight back, and they felt like they were invincible. And he's like, I know who you are. You're Copley. I'm not Copley. Yeah, well, I'm not Tiano. And he's like, haven't heard that name for a while. This is the landlord saying that after he accused Kung of being Copley, the guy who jumped on the grenade. He's like, you're Carter. It's his ride. He was from St. Jude. The only one man enough to stand up to the kings. Nothing has been the same since he went away. Next up, Kung is practicing his kicks as he has flashbacks of being in the cell practicing his kicks. He and Van Damme are sparring in the cell. Van Damme looks to get the upper hand on him. Also scenes of Kung doing crazy handstands, getting punched in the gut, and these really crazy-ass jumping push-ups.
Yeah, he curled his legs up as he slapped his hands together.
Yep. Yeah, really crazy.
It's pretty intense.
Yeah.
He also was miming a German suplex, so I got jazzed up because I was like, oh man, I hope he does a German suplex.
I was hoping so too.
Spoiler alert, he does do a German suplex.
So back at the 6th Street guys, Kung walks into the hangout, Leah looks at him, then we're on the East Siders, they're playing poker again, Kung walks in on them too. Hey, I was just talking about you, man. I heard. Chris is drinking a coffee, gets into his cop car, Kung comes from behind him, grabs him by the neck. I decide when you breathe, understand? Call him Mr. V.
Did the seat have a neck rest?
I think it did this time.
I think it did. I thought so too.
I think it did.
It probably was not removable or something.
Yep. It was one of those it was a police cruiser.
Yeah.
So probably for the safety of the policemen.
That's another trope is Chris Van Damme playing a dirty cop.
Yeah, I know, man. Yeah, seriously. It's like
evil assistant character.
Poor Chris Van Damme's getting typecasted now, man. Now they're at some warehouse. The Devil Dogs step out of the woodworks with weapons. This place is about to get crazy. It's one at a time. Just laugh. And Kung just starts kicking ass. It comes down to the second-in-command guy. Decent back and forth between the two of them. Yep. Kung gets the upper hand, obviously, with the main guy overlooking it all, and he walks down the stairs to face Kung Lee. Cool fight scene between those two back and forth where Kung knocks the dude out by slamming the dude's head against the metal, a big giant metal cylinder.
And we did get to see a steel drum toss, very reminiscent of Double Impact.
Yeah.
So that was nice. The fights, at no point will I complain about the fight scenes in the film.
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
The choreography was excellent. The fight scenes were really well done from start to finish.
Yeah. V comes out with the granddaughter hostage. Everyone's pointing guns at one another. Where's my money, Hong? I got your money. You leave St. Jude, never come back, and I'll give you your money. V puts a bullet into the Russian's head. That's a surefire way to actually be like, you know what? I really want people to try to shoot me.
Yeah.
He just shoots the Russian dude in the head while everyone's pointing guns at one another. No, the landlord gets shot. V lets go of the girl. People getting shot back and forth. Chris takes cover. I thought that was hilarious too. Kung checks on the landlord. V asks where his money is. Kung grabs the gun. He goes to shoot V, but it's the granddaughter who does it instead. She shoots him from behind, and it comes out his chest. V says something in Italian and dies.
Yep. And he's brought back as Robo-Italian mobster.
Yep, yep.
I was
That's
surprised at that point, but pleasantly surprised. So every gang member in the entire city is now dead.
Pretty much so, yeah.
Like the two gang leaders decided to join forces with him for whatever reason to stand up to Mr. V. Both of them are shot because they're both horrible shots.
Yeah, they get shot both like in the stomach. The leader of the East Siders dies like right away. The 6th Street guy's looking at his hands, holding his stomach. It's just chaos.
There's so many bizarre like leaps in logic in this. Like I don't understand why people are doing what they're doing. You'd think they'd be really angry at this guy for messing up the good thing they had going on in their town.
Right, exactly. Yeah, everything
and getting
was fine
both of their
until
gangs murdered by playing them up the middle.
Yep, it's all chaos. The camera like lifts up to the scene, and it's almost bird's eye view. It's on an angle, and the scene ends.
And the movie ends.
The movie ends right there. Nothing else. Like nothing.
No moral, no happily ever after.
Nope. No Van Damme coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, and slapping him on the back. Good job.
You have dragon's eyes.
He never turns into a dragon.
Never turns. Yep. No, definitely. It's an hour and 31 minutes long, and it went by fast.
Yeah. It wasn't boring the whole time.
No, it wasn't boring. The story was just kind of stupid.
Very nonsensical.
Yeah. Yeah, it really... There's no point to this story.
No.
And I know that's speaking a lot to try to ask for a decent story in action movies nowadays, but like they were able to do it in the 80s and 90s.
Yeah, I mean, stuff
together.
was contrived and it was cliche.
Yeah.
But at least it formed a coherent story.
Right.
Like an elementary by the number story, but
you
don't just go, what? Why? How did this happen?
Yeah, man. So it gets to the point of our show where we review this movie by rating with our splits. Jeff, what would you give it?
Let's see. I don't know. I'd actually, for as much as I'm talking shit about it, I actually enjoyed it the whole way through.
Yeah.
I guess I'd give it a 7.
Yeah, compared to some of the other movies that we've reviewed recently that have just been an absolute shit show.
Yeah.
Like, I actually did enjoy this. I wish there was more Van Damme in it. I wish that the one thing that makes me mad about it is the fact that, they used Van Damme as like, hey, you need to watch this film.
Yeah.
But he's barely in it. And I'm okay with that if he wasn't on the poster too. But yeah, I would give it a 7. It's not bad. I like what was going for it. The story was pretty stupid. But like for the most part, everything else made up for it, even with the weird sepia tones and everything. So,
and they did have a German suplex.
And it did, yeah. There was some... Dude, I like Cung Le. I've seen some of his
What
other
other movies
stuff.
has he done?
He did the Fighter with... what's his face? What's his face?
Oh, yeah.
What's his face is a good actor.
I mean, he had great choreography in it, and his acting wasn't horrible.
Yeah, he was in Dark Assassin, The Assassin. Fighting with...
so he was in Fighter and Fighting?
Channing Tatum.
Tatum. Okay. So he's in Fighter, Fighting, and Fought? Was he in a movie called Fought?
Yep. No, he was in Fighting.
Will Fight.
Fight Again.
Fight Harder.
Let's see, he was in Tekken. He was martial law in Tekken.
Oh, okay. I never saw Tekken.
Yeah, that was something.
We should review that.
Yes, yeah, that will one day.
That'll be our video game adaptation.
Yeah, movie podcast.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yes. The Man with the Iron Fists is in.
Who is he in that?
Bronze Lion.
Oh, okay, yeah. I knew I recognized him from something.
The Grandmaster is Iron Shoes.
So he had a lot of metal-themed nicknames in other films.
Yeah, I'm trying to see like if there was something else you probably... Oh, he's in Savage Dog with Scott Adkins.
Scott Adkins.
Yeah.
That's a name I haven't heard in a minute.
I know. I feel weird without him being in this film. Like, and Into the Badlands. He was in Into the Badlands as Abbott One Cyan. I haven't actually watched the series, but I've heard good things.
No, it looked interesting.
So yeah, Kung Lee, he's an MMA fighter as well.
Oh, okay.
That's how I know him.
I did notice he had a cauliflower ear.
Yep. Yeah, and so did Lord or whatever from Devil Dogs. You know what? I'm gonna look into this. I'm gonna see if
our curiosity's piqued.
Yep. Let's see, Lord Trevor Prangley. That name sounds very familiar. Yes, because he was in UFC. That's why. Yep. UFC back in the day in like 2005, and he's from South Africa.
Huh.
Look at him.
Look at him go.
Now I have to like look up to see if I see Bolo Young in this. Like uncredited Bolo Young. Travis McCoy was in this, another MMA fighter.
I don't know if it's the director or JCVD who really likes working with MMA guys.
Yeah, probably a little bit of both.
Yeah, that explains why the acting isn't very good and the fight choreography is excellent.
Yep, there are a lot of MMA fighters in this. So
you do see a lot of authentic takedowns and a lot of ground and pound type stuff.
Yep.
Stuff more reminiscent of MMA than JCVD's typical fight scenes of trading back kicks and front kicks.
Yeah, man. All right, getting into the trivia things. Only 2 pieces of trivia. I'm going to save the best for last here.
Uh-oh.
Part of the Action Fest brand from After Dark and Joel Silver that also includes Transit, Stash House, Philly Kid, and El Gringo. Okay. Now here's the jewel. Jean-Claude Van Damme accidentally chipped an extra's tooth with a kick during a fight scene.
But it was a controlled kick.
It was a controlled kick, yes. That's why it was, only the tooth chipped,
Not all of his teeth.
Not all of them, yep. Moving on to quotes. I decide when you breathe. And Mr. V saying, what, you're going to shoot me with that? And then get shot in the back.
Yep.
Bitch. And that's it. That's all we have for Dragon Eyes. I spent way more on that than I thought we would. But up next, we are going to do something a little different. We're getting down to it, man. There's only a few.
The nitty-gritty.
There's only a few episodes left, really. I think when I counted when this comes out, maybe 12 episodes left. I can't recall. So up next, we are actually just going to look at all the rest of Van Damme's cameos that he's at least credited for on IMDb. So with that being said, I think that's done, unless you have anything else to add.
No.
Cool. All right, guys, we hope you enjoyed that. Please, it is around the time to do your holiday shopping. Please think of us when you do that and you go on Amazon. Use our link. Just go to podbros.com, scroll down, hit that Amazon button. It does not cost you anything. It helps us out, helps keep the lights on. Seriously, I truly mean it. Thank you so much for those that have been helping us out with it. Also, we're on Patreon at patreon.com/podbros. Find us on all sorts of social media. Just search Podbros or Podbros Network on Twitter. And that's about it. That's all I got to say there. Jeff, thank you so much for joining me in the studio today.
It was my pleasure.
I am John.
And I'm Jeff.
And you have been listening to another episode of the Jean Pot Van Dam Cast. Jeff, you have dragon's eyes. Now, are you a tiger? Or are you a tiger?
Or that other tiger that sucks. There's 2 tigers.
There's 2 tigers. One of them sucks.
Which tiger are you?
You fucking crazy?